Hey, what's going on, guys? Brian Kelly here from Zombie Guitar. In today's video, I just want to share with you the event in my life that made me realize that music is so ridiculously simple. So simple. Now, out of all the videos that I make, I have like 310 videos on YouTube. Out of all the courses that I've made, out of everything that I've done with this Zombie Guitar website, every single thing that I've done over the past 7 years, anyone who watches my stuff, I'm trying to relay the same concept over and over and over and over and over. I would say that roughly 90% of everything that I put out is about the exact same thing. It's about the simplicity of music. It's so easy. It's so ridiculously easy. The thing is, I didn't realize this until I joined a cover band. That was the event in my life that made me realize this. Reason being is because in the cover band life, I played in a cover band for 15 years or so. 13 of those 15 years, I did it full time, 3, 4, 5 nights a week. So during those years of me playing covers, I covered over 1,000 songs, I would say. So I would say that 1,000 songs is a pretty good amount of data points to really kind of make a statement. Now, this didn't happen right away. When I first started doing the covers, I played in 3 different cover bands. It was my last of the 3 cover bands. That's the one that I went full-time with. That's the one that I played in for 13 years. But for all 3 of the cover bands, when I first joined, they gave me a list of songs. There was about 60 songs on the list. And they were like, okay, learn these songs. This will, these are the songs that we mostly play. This is going to get us out gigging. So the faster you learn these songs, the faster we can get you playing with us. So each one of them was like an individual entity. Every single one of these songs was one individual thing that I had to learn. So, all right, start on song 1, learn the chords, whatever. Use tabs, look up YouTube videos, do whatever I can. Just do whatever it takes to learn that one song, learn it, memorize it, practice it, boom, on to the next one. Completely new song, completely new entity, entirely different thing, no relationship to the first song whatsoever. At least I didn't realize there was, which there is a very big relationship actually between all 60 songs. But anyway, so I would learn each of these 60 songs, and each one was its own individual project that I had to learn, practice, and memorize. Now, fast forward to the last 5 years or so, to the time when I was playing covers, we were learning, we were trying to learn 3 new songs per week so we could stay relevant, so we weren't just playing the same old stuff over and over. And during those last 5 years, I had already made this connection in my mind where music was super ridiculously simple. I was at the point where I would be learning the 3 songs that were on the agenda on my way driving to practice. I lived 15 minutes away from the place where we had to practice at. All I would do is I would say, oh, okay, these are the 3 songs I have to learn. Cool. Put on one of the songs, pop it up on YouTube, listen to it as I was driving over there, and that's how I would learn the song. I didn't even need a guitar in my hand. I could just listen to the song, and I could be like, okay, that's a 1, 5, 6, 4 progression. Okay, cool, got it. The next song, all right, that's a 6, 2, 5, 1 progression. Cool, got it. Next song. That's all I would do. If you don't understand what I mean by the 6, 2, 5, 1, 1, 5, 6, 4 stuff, I made another video about that. It's called Practical Ear Training, which talks about exactly what I'm saying right here that I was doing on the car ride over. Check that video out. But that's it. That's how I would learn the songs. Now, I couldn't learn these songs. I couldn't figure out the key by ear because I don't have perfect pitch. But I have relative pitch. Anyone can develop relative pitch. All relative pitch is you hear what the one chord is. Whatever song you happen to be listening to, you just hear when the chord comes around, you're like, oh, there's the tonal center, that one right there. Once you can identify the tonal center within the chord progression that you're listening to, you're like, that's home. Then you just figure out the other chords in relation to home, or the tonal center. And that's all it is. Now, the thing is, there's only 12 keys. It's way easier that way, Like from a paper standpoint, okay, you have major keys, you have minor keys, you have modes. In minor keys, sometimes they do things differently. They change the 5th chord around in a minor key, and then it yields the harmonic minor scale and the melodic minor scale. So things can get kind of complex when you look at it from a theoretical standpoint and you look at it on paper. But from a practical standpoint, and this is coming from a guy that has played in a cover band for 15 years, doing it for a living, I've covered over 1,000 songs. From a practical standpoint, it's much easier to simply just say, there's 12 keys. That's it. Okay, let's stop the nonsense. All right, they're different. Yeah, they have a different sound. Like C major and C minor, they're 2 different keys. They have different chords You know, C major has a happier sound, C minor has a sadder sound. It's a different scale formula. The major scale formula is different than the minor scale formula. C major compared to C minor are two totally different keys. But C major compared to A minor, which is a relative major minor pair, again, C major and A minor, they have a different sound to them. C major music is going to have a happier sound to it. A minor music is going to have a sadder sound to it. If you look at just the scale formula of the C major scale written out on a piece of paper, it's going to have a scale formula of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you look at the scale formula of the A minor scale, it's going to have a scale formula of 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. But from a practical standpoint, if you look at the C major and A minor keys, they share the same 7 notes as each other. They share the same 7 chords as each other. Everything about the key of C major and A minor is exactly the same, with the only difference being music that's written in the key of C major has the C major chord as the 1 or the tonal center. Music that's written in the key of A minor has the A minor chord as the 1 or the tonal center. So from a theoretical standpoint, they're two different things. From a practical standpoint, they're exactly the same thing. Let me show you what I mean. So let's play a chord progression in the key of C major. Now let me play something in the key of A minor. So that second one was in the key of A minor, but it shared the exact same 4 chords as the first example. The first example was C major to G major to A minor to F major. The second example was A minor to F major to C major to G major. There's the same 4 chords. The first one had like a happier feel to it, a happier vibe to it. The second one had a sadder vibe to it, a sadder feel. So yeah, you could say that those were two different keys. You know, on paper, you could say, okay, the first one was in C major. That's from the key of C major. The second one was in A minor. That was the key of A minor. You could look and say those are two different keys with two different scale formulas, two different sets of rules that apply to them. You could do that. And, you know, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I'm just saying from a practical standpoint, I find it a lot easier just to be like, oh, that's one of the 12 possible keys. We're in the key of C major / A minor right there. But then you start to realize that the same chord progressions keep coming up over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just like the same stuff. It's like the same 3, 4 chords over and over and over again. So let's see if you know this song. What song is this? Don't Stop Believing by Journey. What song is this? That's Hey Soul Sister by Train. What song is this? When I Come Around by Green Day. Except they're not playing the full major and minor chords, they're just playing power chords. When you're playing power chords, each of those power chords is representative of a major or minor chord. That's all it is to it, you know? So if you just want to reduce your major or minor chord playing to power chords, that's perfectly fine, you know? Or if you want to take your power chords and play the chords that they actually represent within the key that you're playing in, you could do that too. All right, so let's look at another example. How about this song? So that's Damn It by Blink-182. So the rhythm chords, so I'm playing major and minor chords, but of course I could reduce that to power chords. Or I could play the major and minor chords for which they represent in the key that we're playing in. All right. One more example using this exact same chord progression, and this is Jesse's Girl. This is in the key of D major / B minor. All right, so it's actually played here. I just kind of moved it to here so we could use the same patterns, which is something that we can do on guitar, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. It's the same chord progression over and over and over. So in the first two examples, Journey and Train, we used an E major chord to a B major chord to a C sharp minor chord to an A major chord. In the example of Damn It by Blink-182, we used a C major chord to a G major chord to an A minor chord to an F major chord. In the Jesse's Girl example, we used a D major chord to an A major chord to a B minor chord to a G major chord. So that seems like a bunch of different stuff. That's treating each of those songs as their own individual thing, you know? One song to be learned, practiced, memorized, on to the next song. Some completely, totally different song. Or you could just see the relationship between these and just be like, oh, this is the same chord progression. Sure, you might have seen that video by Axis of Awesome, they're called. They do like a little parody where they play like 100 songs right in a row that all use that same exact chord progression. Well, that's what's going on. And that's the thing. That's the thing about this music. It's all the same stuff. There's like a handful of chord progressions, and it just keeps getting recycled over and over and over and over and over again. And the cool thing is, as a guitar player, we have just, it's so easy for us as guitar players because we can't do that, what I just showed you right there on a piano. Like on a piano, you have to learn each key individually. Like you have to learn how to play in the key of C major on the piano, which is just all the white notes. And then if you want to learn how to play in one of the other 12 possible key signatures, usually the next one you would start to work on would be the key of G major. That's 6 white keys, but then there's 1 black key. Instead of having an F, you have an F sharp. That's the key signature of G major. And then if you want to learn the next key on the piano, which would be the key of D major, that's 5 white keys and 2 black keys. So on piano, everything, you have to learn each key. Each key is its own thing to be studied and practiced. But on the guitar, we don't have to worry about that. Everything is so much easier on the guitar. You just have to learn one key. If you learn all there is to learn about one key on the guitar, and you learn the shapes and the patterns and the scale patterns and the intervals and stuff like that for one single key, then everything is the same for all of the 12 possible key signatures. That's the cool thing about the guitar, that movability thing. So instead of seeing this as an E major chord to a B major chord to a C sharp minor to an A major, I mean, that is what they are, so it's not wrong to think in terms of that. To be able to transpose from one key to the next and take full advantage of what the guitar has to offer us, it's a lot easier to think, okay, this is a 1 chord, this is a 5 chord, this is a 6 chord, and then this is a 4 chord. Oh, we're playing When I Come Around now? Oh, okay, that's in the key of G major. That's a 1, 5, 6, 4 in the key of G major. Oh, got it. Okay, so I'm just going to start on G. That's my new 1 now. 5, 6, 4. Oh, wait, what? We're playing Damn It next? Oh, okay, that's in the key of C. That's a 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression in the key of C. No problem. I'll start on the C chord right here. 1, 5, 6, 4. Oh, wait, you're playing Jesse's Girl next? That's in the key of D major, right? Ah, okay, cool. 1, 5, 6, 4. Point being is, I'm not thinking of F major chords and G major chords and A minor chords and stuff like that. I mean, I am, but I'm more thinking of the 1, 5, 6, 4 portion of it because that's the thing, that's the real thing. That's the thing that allows me to drive to band practice and listen to a song and be like, oh, okay, got it. Next song. Oh, okay, got it. Next song. Oh, okay, got it. I show up to band practice. I'm ready to play these songs. I'm like, oh, wait, what key are we in? Oh, we're in the key of A. Oh, cool. I'll just move what I thought it was in up to there. Cool. Now I can play the song. Now, I know you may be thinking, well, there's more to music than just basic major and minor chords, and you're absolutely right. There's solos, there's riffs, there's these other more extended chords. There's sevenths and ninths and susses and diminished and augmented and all this stuff. I get that. I totally do. But let's just talk about soloing. So from the 12 key perspective, as opposed to the 24 key perspective, the 12 key perspective, once you identify which one of the 12 keys you're in, let's say you're in the key of C major / A minor. Well, you map out the fretboard, you map out the notes of that key. There's 7 notes in any key. Any of the 12 possible key signatures, you have 7 notes. So map out the 7 notes for that key, and then you just learn that. you learn that key. Now that can seem like a lot, that can seem daunting, and that's from a guitar player perspective. That's where we have things like, the 3-note per string patterns and the 5 pentatonic positions and the cage system and yada yada yada. But you learn all that stuff one single time for this one single key, and then you've got it for all 12 keys because the patterns and everything is the same. So if I want to then play in the key of, say, I don't know, A sharp minor, otherwise known as B flat minor, I can just move all this stuff up by 1 fret. All the patterns stay the same. Everything that you have already learned previously stays the same. You just had to shift everything up. Oh, wait, you want to play in the key of B minor? Oh, no problem. You just shift everything up a little bit more. So again, that's the cool thing about the guitar. We just have to learn one single key. From a soloing perspective, you learn how to play in one single key, and then you can play in any of the 12 keys because all the patterns and stuff are exactly the same. Everything just shifts depending on which key you're in. Piano players, they don't have that same type of luxury. Like piano players, they can't just be like, oh, I learned this song in the key of A minor, but now you're playing in the key of, I don't know, C sharp minor. And they can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to move everything that I learned to this new key because the shapes are the same. They're not on the piano. On the piano, they actually have to know notes. The piano, they're like, oh, I learned this song using only white keys because that's the key of A minor. But now they're playing in the key of C sharp minor, which has 4 black keys and 3 white keys. I don't know if I can do this on the fly. I got to go home and I got to practice. I got to learn this. I can't just show up to the gig and then you change keys on me and then expect me to be able to transpose like that, unless I'm practiced for many, many years to be able to do so. On the guitar, it's just, oh, you guys, oh, I'm filling it for this band. Oh, you guys play that in B minor? I've always played it in C minor. Ah, no problem. Okay, I'm with you. Let's go. Play the gig, no problem. We just have it so easy as guitar players. Oh, one last thing I wanted to talk about, and that is just outside chords. So when you're playing music, not everything is always going to be 100% in-key chords. A lot of the stuff is going to be in-key chords, but there's going to be some outside stuff thrown in there. And the reason that they throw outside chords in there is just to kind of add interest. From a non-musician's perspective, from someone that doesn't know anything about music, if they're listening to a song where all the chords are in key, and they're listening to that, they'll just be kind of bobbing their head along. Everything sounds good, And then when the out-of-key chord comes along, they'll be like, that was interesting. It may not be that dramatic. They may not, open up their eyes and point or anything, but it's going to, catch their attention. All the in-key stuff is just kind of just whatever. Yeah, this is the song. This is how it goes. But as soon as that one outside chord comes along, they're going to notice that something a bit different, something a bit interesting has been introduced into the song. That's all that outside chords are. That's it. So you, as a musician, if you're learning these songs, you're learning chord progressions, you're kind of listening. You're like, all right, 1 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, boom. Oh, wait, what was that? Something was different there. Just the fact that you noticed that something was different there, that's it. So just identifying when something is out of the key. Most of the stuff is going to be in key, but then you just say, okay, well, that one's out of key. Cool, got it. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about here in this video is the more complex chords that you come across. You see 7th chords, you see major 7th chords, minor 7th chords, 9th chords, sus chords, diminished chords, augmented chords, blah, 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 blah. So for the most part, you can just think of all of those numbers and stuff like that as just icing on the cake. Just like I said, a power chord is a reduction of the major and minor chords for which they represent in the key. The same is true for all of the extended chords. So if you look at a chord progression that has a bunch of complex chords in it, you can reduce it to the triads for which each of those chords represent within the key. I actually used Hotel California in a previous video as an example. Let me just show you this real quick. Regardless of whether you use a capo or you don't use a capo, these are the chords. So the first chord is a B minor chord, followed by an F sharp dominant 7 chord, followed by an A sus2 chord. This is actually an A sus2 over E chord because the lowest note in the chord is the note E as opposed to the note A. The next chord is this E9 chord. It's like this. It's a little tricky to play. The next chord is a G major chord. This is the C shape of the G major chord. The next chord is a D major chord. This is just played in the G shape. The next chord is an E minor 7 chord. And then the final chord is that F sharp dominant 7 chord again. So obviously that stuff gets a lot easier when you slap a capo on the 7th fret there and you're playing easier shapes. You don't have to worry about barring the 7th fret, but those are still the actual chords, all right? You can eliminate the 7, you can eliminate the 9, you can eliminate the susses and all that stuff, and just look at the triad portion of each chord, and the song is still going to be fully recognizable. So first chord, B minor. Second chord, F sharp major. Next chord, A major. Next chord, E major. G major. D major. E minor. F sharp major. So right there is an example of how you can take a song that has some complex looking chords in it, some chords that could seem overwhelming. You know, you have some 9s in there, you have some 7s in there, you have some susses in there, you know, you're like, well, what's up with those? Well, you just reduce them to the major or minor chords for which they represent in the key that you're playing in, and the song is still fully recognizable. You just don't have the icing on the cake. You still have the foundation there, the fully recognizable foundation. You play the triad form of a song, and they're going to be like, oh, that's Hotel California. They're not going to be like, oh, those chords are supposed to be susses, and that's supposed to be a 9 there. You know, no one's going to question it. They're going to be like, oh, that's Hotel California. Everyone knows that. It's because everything's representative of a triad for which the key that you're playing in. So, yeah, so maybe, I guess, you know, if you go and continue to watch my videos or browse around on the Zombie Guitar website or whatever, you know, try to see the fundamental thing that I'm trying to get across here. My fundamental message has not changed over the past 7 years or however long I've been doing this. My fundamental message is just, which key are you in? Which one of the 12 keys are you in? Cool. Let's take it from there. I don't know. So hopefully I got my point across in this video. This was just kind of a rant that I just I thought of like when I woke up this morning. It was like the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, I got to make a YouTube video about that today. So here it is. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.